Buckle in, sports fans. You're listening to The William Haynes Show. The program will be starting in just a couple of minutes, so grab your popcorn and get ready to enjoy the show. While you're waiting, make sure you're following us on social media at WHBC Stream and staying tuned to WHBCStream.com. We're so glad to have you today on the program, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line on Twitter or call the show 352-639-0036. And thanks again for tuning in.
HBC. I just did my entire monologue and had the microphone off, so I'm sorry for that. I'm gonna let's try this again, shall we?
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66
HBC. Well, it is a good evening to you, and how you be? William Haynes here, you there, here on this Wednesday night at 10:15 with a couple of seconds to go right along with it. Here on this William Haynes Show, we are coming at you live from the WHBC studios in Tallahassee, Florida, with you for about 30 minutes or so here on the program. A lot of good news to talk about as far as Tampa Bay sports goes. It was the Tampa Bay Rays tonight with a 4-3 win over the Baltimore Orioles. They clinch the 3-game set, and they are now 10 games above 500 and a 2.5-game lead in the American League East over the slumping Yankees. And for the Lightning, yes, this is a hockey score. They are up 7-1 on the Boston Bruins about halfway through the third period. So it looks like in about 10-20 minutes or so, the Lightning will be up 2-1 in their series over the Boston Bruins. So a lot of good stuff to talk about. Again, we'll be with you probably up until 10:45, the slate of the show tonight. Obviously, we're going to talk tonight's Rays win. Obviously, keep our eyes on this hockey game. Have some other sports stuff to talk about after we went off the air. It was Lucas Giolito, the starting pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, capping off the first no-hitter of 2020. And boy, was that fun to watch. Some NBA cancellations. A couple of MLB games got canceled. So we have all of that for you. The number to call if you're interested, you want to talk Rays, Lightning, whatever's on your mind, the number to call. We have a line open for you. It is 877-566-1020. That's the number to call. Again, internationally toll-free. You can call that 877-566-1020 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. About every 20 minutes or so, we take a 2020 sports update. We'll give you the baseball scores first. We might just do that in 4 minutes, and then we'll be cruising from there. So obviously, we'll get the Rays game, because that's the main focus. And then, of course, at the end of the program, we'll preview tomorrow's contest. It'll be Ryan Yarbrough v. John Means. So hopefully the Rays can keep their winning ways going in the right direction, and hopefully Yarbrough can give them a good enough start like he did last time up, giving it the Rays 6 1/3 to keep this bullpen moving in the right direction. It was Ryan Sheriff pitching for the first time since early 2018, recording a major league win, which I believe was like the third or fourth of his career. So that's all good and great, of course. So tonight's Rays win, as I said, 4-3 over the Orioles. They have taken the first two games of the series. The Rays improved to 21-11, so they are now a season-high watermark, 10 games over 500. And we look at the American League East standings. The Rays are now have a 2.5 game lead over the Yankees, who have lost 5 straight. The New York sits at 16-11. They lost both of their games in Atlanta in that doubleheader, including Garrett Cole's precious little win streak coming to an end at the hands of the Braves, including it was, I think, Ronald Acuna leading off the first game of the doubleheader with almost a 500-foot home run off of Cole. So, of course, as a Rays fan, that's good to see. The Yankees have lost 5 straight, as I said. They had that weekend off because of the COVID stuff with the Mets. And I believe it's something they're going to play 39 games in 36 days, something along those lines, to get the season wrapped up. So it's definitely not going to get any easier from a Yankees perspective. Look at the injuries. Zach Britton is on the injured list, so is James Paxton. And Aaron Judge, who just came off the injured list today to play in Game 2 of their doubleheader, left the game in the 6th inning of that 7-inning game, I believe with some calf tightness, which was why he was on the injured list to begin with. So that's a whole kind of saga. Obviously, we're not really a New York or, a Yankee show, so we're not going to go too deep into that, but it's a weird kind of saga because it was kind of sold to everyone as a precautionary move. They wanted to keep Judge good for October. That makes sense. Judge was saying he had preferred not to go on the injured list. He was 100%. Well, he comes back in his first game, and he's leaving that contest, and it looks like he's going to go back on the injured list, and obviously the significance in that is it's going to help the Rays because the Yankees, who are already going through quite a funk that was kind of kicked off by the Rays sweeping them in a 3-game set in the Bronx. So the Yankees are kind of spiraling out of control. The third place team is the Toronto Blue Jays at 15-14, and they're 2 games back of New York. So even with the wild card, there's probably going to be 3 teams in this division that make the playoffs. So obviously the Yankees aren't hitting the panic button. I'm sure maybe they'll cash in some top prospects or something for something at the trade deadline, which is on Monday. Also of note from that perspective from the Rays, the talk is the past couple of days the Rays have been very aggressive with multiple teams in trade talks. You would think probably for a relief pitcher, there's some talk about starting pitching. I don't think they need starting pitching as much. I think they're going to be just fine with Josh Fleming as a permanent kind of a piece in this rotation. If he can keep it up, he went, I believe, 5 innings in his major league debut and got the win. And it looks like Trevor Richards behind an opener will take that 5 spot in the rotation until Charlie Morton can come back. So with Richards giving the Rays what he did tonight, I think Morton can kind of take a deep breath and take all the time that he needs to recover and what may be his final major league season. I know we just got started, but it's 10:20 and I want to keep this show paced well. We're going to take a sports break and we'll give you the MLB scores first. A number to call during the break. We would love to hear from you. We have a line open, from all that. The number to call is 877-566-1020. We'll probably be with you for about another 25 minutes or so. When we come back, we'll talk everything tonight's win, and here are the baseball scores. HBC. A couple of MLB postponements today. It was the Dodgers and Giants postponed, as was the Padres and Mariners, and a couple of other ones, the Brewers, Reds, and Astros and Angels. Some games that have already gone final. The Braves sweeping a doubleheader in Atlanta over the Yankees. They win Game 1 by a score of 5-1, beating Garrett Cole and snapping his win streak, and they won Game 2 by a score of 2-1. Max Fried advancing to 5-0 and gets the win. Obviously, the Rays 4-3 over the Orioles. It was the Blue Jays 9-1 over the Red Sox, Phillies 3, Nationals 2. The White Sox 10-3 over the Pirates a day after their star pitcher Lucas Giolito pitched a no-hitter. And current ongoing action, top of the ninth, it is the Indians up 6-3 over the Twins. At the end of 8, it is the Tigers 7, Cubs 3. Also at the end of 8 is the Mets 5-4 over the Marlins. The Mets got 7 innings of one-run ball from Jacob deGrom tonight. In the 7th, it's the Athletics 2-1 over the Rangers. Also in the 7th, the Royals and Cardinals are tied at 2 and just underway. At the end of 2, it is the Rockies up 2-0 over the Diamondbacks. We are going to take a short break. Again, number to call if you want to get on the show. We have a line open. It is 877-566-1020. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans! William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think. So
okay, no worries, man.
Anyway,
you want me to try to just hold?
When all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL
worries.
podcast.
We'll be short today anyways, just figured I'd give a call.
Please visit WHBCStream.com. And
Yeah.
thanks again for listening in.
Not the best, but we'll take it. Okay. Sure, just let me know.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:23, we are back on the William Haynes Show, and we do have a caller. It's Sebastian from Canada calling in. Sebastian, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. What can you say tonight?
I just wanted to say that it's good to get the win. Nice to see that lead getting bigger against the New York Yankees in our division. Even though the win tonight probably was a bit sloppy. We had a couple errors, and I think we were only charged with 2 errors, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah.
there was definitely some more other questionable defensive plays as well that were just chalked up as Orioles hits instead. I don't know what it is about the Orioles that just our defense kind of breaks down, but I think a lot of it, too, had to do with players not playing the position that they normally play. Yandy looked a bit sloppy over on third base, but, thankfully it didn't cost us too much. Susugo also didn't look great in third base either, but we managed to pull the win, and it's unfortunate that Richards didn't get that win because he pitched pretty well today, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, Richards got some tough breaks. I think Cash said before the game he was only going to be able to go about 90 pitches or so. He ends up finishing with 86. And I think to your point, without those errors and without giving the Orioles some extra outs, I think Richards would have easily been able to get to 5. And I think at that point he probably would have gotten the win. So that kind of sucks for him. But, they were able to piece it together with the bullpen. Sheriff picking up his first win of the season and his first appearance since early 2018. And yeah, to your point also about the defense, it's nice to have players that can play so many positions, mostly infield versatility, but guys like Yoshi that can also play the corner outfields. But just because it is versatile, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean they're good at every position. I think third base especially has been a bugaboo for the Rays. I like when they have Adames or even Brasso over there third defensively, but obviously for offensive purposes, it's mostly Yandy Diaz and Tsutsugo. But like tonight, both Yoshi and Diaz both really failed the Rays at the hot corner, and thankfully the Rays, with some timely hitting in the back end of the game, were able to overcome that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And, seems like our bats are kind of cooled off a little bit, which it's expected. We can't be getting home runs all the time, but it's nice to see Lau get another home run. And despite the fact that we had I don't know how many runners in scoring position were left on base, we still managed to get the win, which is really all that matters, I guess, at this point. I would like to see Brasso playing third base more often. He seems to be pretty solid there, and his bat's been pretty hot, but he seems to kind of come on as just kind of give one of the other guys a day off or so. But it'd be nice to see him in the lineup a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think yesterday was, if not one of the first times he's played third base. They've also been working him out at shortstop, and obviously he's gotten some reps at first base. I think I would agree with you. I guess the problem at that point is, where do you fit Yandy Diaz into the lineup? Probably at DH and then maybe first base, depending on how things line up. So I think that might be their reservation about giving Brasso more time in the field. But yeah, he is definitely good defensively, and his bat has been pretty good. I think his average is still at about 350, albeit in limited at-bats.
Yeah, seems to be pretty high, so it'd be nice to see if he can kind of keep that up as well, because I know once you start getting more at-bats, you sort of average out a little bit, but at least he kind of reminds me of Ben Zobrist from back in the day, if you remember. He used to be kind of like the utility guy, and he'd play all over the place, and he had a pretty hot bat, so hopefully he can have. We'll see some success from him as well in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Zobrist, Brasso has spent some time in the corner outfields. I don't love him out there, but yeah, the Rays have put him out there at times. One thing I did want to just get your thoughts about, as far as the trade deadline is concerned. Obviously, the Rays, a team that's been hot in talks. I'm not necessarily big on them getting a starting pitcher, but there's talks about a reliever. I mean, what would you do, I guess, if you were the Rays approaching the trade deadline?
Yeah, it's funny, because I was actually going to ask you a very similar question. The thing is, I don't know too much about like players from other teams and stuff. So in terms of actual names, I wouldn't really know what to tell you. I do think they're probably pretty aggressive in getting some relief pitchers. I think in terms of starting pitchers, they could probably get away with what we have right now, but I think the bullpen is what's going to need work. And hopefully, with Beeks was kind of like that last guy that we'll see getting injured, but like you never know, right? Like these guys have been dropping like flies, and with the shortened spring training or summer camp or whatever it was, you never really know. So I don't really know how strong the bullpen is, like how we have it right now. So I think that's probably where they'd be focused on the most. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I had a big concern of obviously when Beeks went down about the options in the bullpen from the left side. Obviously, Alvarado is still on the injured list, and at that time, before Sheriff was brought up, it was basically just Aaron Loop out of the bullpen that could pitch from the left side. So hopefully Sheriff, he looked good tonight, but obviously we're going to have to see a little bit more from him before we can kind of put him in that back end spot. I would still like to see them maybe pick up a lefty. As far as names go, the Rays aren't willing to give up a whole lot, especially in a season like this. So any kind of the big name relievers that are being floated around, I wouldn't anticipate the Rays going in that direction. Kind of more moves like they did bringing in Edgar Garcia from the Phillies, a guy that Philadelphia was designated for assignment anyway, and the Rays just had to give up a little bit of cash to get him. So probably if they bring in some relievers, it's just going to be some guys that aren't really well known, but maybe have a pitch or two that the Rays like. That would be my prediction as far as where they go. I don't really see them giving up a whole lot to bring in anyone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Either that or maybe some free agent. They seem to do a pretty good job at getting these sort of relatively unknown players and turning them into pretty good stars. So I have faith that they'll be able to get something from the trade deadline, and hopefully they can have a nice working bullpen come October.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm hoping everything will be all right. It'll be interesting to see by Monday where the Rays are at. So, yeah, Sebastian, thank you so much for the call. It was great talking to you tonight.
Yeah, same to you. Take care.
Thanks, you too. All right, and that was Sebastian. We thank him for calling in, of course. And if anyone else is listening and you would like to call in to the show as well, the number to do so is 877-566-1020 with you for about another 15 minutes or so. What I wanted to do with the remainder of the program was just kind of going over tonight's Rays win inning by inning because, of course, there's a lot to unpack. Also, about 3 minutes left in the third period. It is the Lightning still up 7-1 over the Bruins. And just another point that I wanted to make as far as the trade deadline goes, something that makes this trade deadline even more interesting than it would be in previous years, not only with the shortened season and maybe you're not willing to give as much up because there's not as much to gain. It's a crapshoot in the playoffs, a 3-game set that might not even be in the home site. There's talks that it might be in a neutral site. So all that stuff, I don't see, a lot of teams pushing in the chips. The point of that, though, is with the expanded playoffs and more teams making the playoffs and not, there's going to be more teams that are buyers instead of sellers in the trade deadline. So not only is there going to be more competition as far as acquiring players, there's not going to be as many teams selling. So obviously the supply and demand basic economic principles would tell you that it's going to be slim pickings, especially pitching, like back-end reliever types, which are always a high commodity at this point in the season with the trade deadline and all that. So I would probably anticipate more Edgar Garcia type moves where you give up just cash considerations or a player to be named later. I know the rules are a little different on that, but just, getting some guys, like I said, that maybe have a good pitch or two. For example, Edgar Garcia, his fastball is not great. It's low 90s. He doesn't control it well, and it has no movement, but he has a nice 86, 87 mile an hour slider. And that's also good because in righty-on-righty matchups, the slider that runs away from the righty, that seems to be a pretty good pitch, and he's gotten some swing and misses on that already. So a guy that can get righties and lefties out, hopefully. More trades like that I would anticipate them making, and specifically probably bringing in a left arm. I mean, it depends on how Alvarado comes back, and obviously they know if he's going to be ready and kind of his outlook. I guess he's in Port Charlotte right now, but I mean, it's really just Sheriff, Loop, and Bonda from the left side right now until, I guess, Jose Alvarado comes back. So, obviously, the trade deadline is on Monday, and we'll know from there. We'll do a show with, obviously, Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be off the weekend. So, I'm sure by the time we get off on the air Friday, we'll have a better idea of maybe how the Rays will approach the trade deadline. Again, I just wanted to put the number out there for anyone that is listening. The number to call, we have a line open, 877-566-1020 with you for about another 10 minutes or so. And finally, without further ado, tonight's inning by inning breakdown. Start off by giving you the lineup defensively from left to right. It was Margot starting the game out in left. It was Kiermaier in center, Renfroe in right, and then in the infield from left to right, it was Yoshi at third, Wendell at shortstop, Brandon Lau at second base, and it was at first base Ji-Man Choi. Michael Perez caught the whole game, and it was Trevor Richards, the starting pitcher, giving the Rays a 4 in a third inning pitch. And the way the lineup was structured, it was Meadows again leading off. Obviously, as a lefty, he's the leadoff hitter against right-handed starters for the foreseeable future against the righty Wojciechowski. So it was Meadows leading off, followed by Lau and Wendell. Choi cleaned up, and then it was Tsutsugo and Kiermaier, and a bottom three of Renfroe, Perez, and Margot. I liked having the catcher spot not bat ninth. I say this all the time. There's a lot of value in the lineup, whether it's Wendell in the ninth spot, and now maybe they may toy with having Margot down there as a guy that not only has speed on the base path, but has a good on-base percentage. Margot's OBP is .363 right now, and he's also batting .301. That can get on, and then you flip to the top of the order in Meadows, Lau, and Wendell. And the Rays got more output than they have in the last several games from the top of the order, although to the tune of only 4 runs, which I guess only is quite relative. You compare that to the beginning of the season, and it looks like a godsend. But after that hot road trip where they won 9 of 10 games on the road, including a 4-game sweep of the Red Sox and a 3-game sweep of the Yankees, 4 runs is not quite as good as they were doing, but it was enough to win just by hair tonight. It was a Michael Perez solo home run in the 8th inning, and that also helped, I think, keep the game from going extras and save the bullpen a little bit. But we'll take that one piece at a time. So that was the lineup defensively orders. They did make a lot of substitutions in pinch hitting. the idea was to give Yandy Diaz and Willy Adames nights off defensively, just to get them off their feet. I believe Diaz was a DH last night, getting the half day off, so kind of getting a day and a half off was to help him, maybe keep him fresh. And obviously, Adames doing all the stuff he does at shortstop, give him a night off, and also kind of the platoon that they're working at shortstop. So against righty starters, you go Wendell at short, and then against lefty starters, maybe have Adames there. But it is Adames at shortstop more often than not. Both of those players, Yandy and Adames, did end up coming into the game in the late stages. So that didn't quite work out, but and again, limited off days, but the Rays are going to have to get creative as far as how they want to structure that. And again, just a minute and a half left. The Rays are going to take this one probably 7-1 over the Bruins and take a 2-1 series lead. So that's very good news for the Lightning after losing Game 1. They have now won the last 2 games. So again, inning by inning, top of the first, my note was, are we in Baltimore? Obviously came to mind that 0-5 road trip, and the Rays were looking horribly defensively. It was only 2 errors on paper for the Rays, but again, as Sebastian said, a lot of plays that probably could have been errors, but instead were ruled hits. That's kind of where the new age of official scoring is. They're more eager to give guys hits than to rule them errors. I mean, it's got to be a really bonehead play for an official score to make it an error, and the Rays did have 2 of those tonight, but probably honestly could have been 4 or 5, depending on who was scoring the game. So in the first inning, the Orioles made it 2-0. It was Mullins getting a bunt single, Yoshi charging in, couldn't put a good play on it. And again, the past couple of days, Cash obviously expressing some frustration with his guys not making routine infield plays, and obviously the philosophy of the Rays, they don't have the money to buy the home run sluggers and all that. So instead of, creating runs, they want to put their money into run prevention, and that's not only pitching but also defense, which is what this team is built on. And Rays team that has not been as good defensively, they have come on strong very recently, especially when they've been hot. Again, they're now 10 games over 500, and I think one of the best records in the American League. They're 2.5 games above the Yankees right now in the division. So Mullins gets the game started with a bunt single. Yoshi just couldn't play it over there at third. And then Alberto gets, it was ruled a single, but he gets to second base. I think it was actually ruled an error. It was, it was a base hit, it was a single, and then Renfroe charged it, and the ball just rolled right past his glove. Kind of comes to mind to the National League wildcard game last year with that Soto hit, and the Brewers right fielder totally misplayed it, and that totally changed the game. Of course, the Nats go on to win the World Series and all of that. So it was that Mullins scored on that play to make it 1-0, and Alberto's inning at second. Richards gets Santander out. Nunez, a fielder's choice. He was thrown out. It was a very wacky play. He puts it on the ground and right up the middle, I believe, to Brandon Lowe. And he tries to go home to get the force, obviously, with only 1 out. But the throw sailed, and somehow Michael Perez gets it and throws it to first. It was it was Nunez kind of misreading the play, trying to stretch it maybe for 2, and he can't get back to first in time. So they do get the out. But it does drive in a run. I believe it brought Alberto in, to make it 2-0. It wasn't ruled an error, though, on Lau, although it probably should have been. And then Cisco strikes out, so Richard starts off by giving 2 unearned runs. So I guess in 4 1/3, he didn't give up any earned, but 2 unearned again in that first inning. Richard's kind of the king of giving up the unearned run. If it comes to mind, 2 in that 4-game set against the Yankees, where it was Manny Margot dropping that ball in center field that allowed 2 runs to come across, although the Rays did go on to win that game, and now it has gone final. The Lightning, again, 7-1 over the Bruins, take a 2-1 series lead. So going to the bottom of the first, the Rays were already down 2-0, and the Rays have really trailed a lot in their games, even the ones that they have won. And in the bottom of the first, the Rays leave a couple men on. It was Meadows getting a leadoff double, but it was another fielding error by Baltimore. And then Wendell, kind of a lazy fly ball. It dropped in for a hit, and he ended up getting to second base. Meadows couldn't read it well, so he only gets to third. So it's men at second and third, I believe, with only 1 out. And so you have the tying run at second base, and both Choi and Yoshi fly out to leave him stranded. So especially your cleanup hitter, that you need better from Choi, and he hasn't been great in those situations, batting cleanup. I don't know what they're going to do with the lineup as far as that's concerned. Top of the second, Richards gets a 1-2-3 inning, including 2 strikeouts. So he started to heat up a little bit, and then in the bottom of the inning, the Rays go down 1-2-3. Both Kevin Kiermaier and Renfroe strike out. in the second. So Asher Wojciechowski was beginning to heat up a little bit as well. Top of the third, Richards' pitch count was driven up, but no runs allowed. At the end of three, he had pitched 57 times. It was Holiday reaching on an infield single. It was a play misread by Wendell, but it was ruled a single and not an error, but it probably should have been. It literally just popped. Well, not popped, but he had it in his glove and he couldn't get it secure. So Holiday ends up reaching base, and then Mullins hits the single, so it's a couple of men on with no outs, and then Richards gets the next three batters retired, but it took him 18 pitches to do so, which really drove up the pitch count. And without that was something I had mentioned with the caller Sebastian, was the defense giving the Orioles extra outs. It didn't as much amount to runs, but it didn't allow Richards to go as deep in the game as maybe he could have, as I thought he probably could have gotten through five and under that 90 pitch count that they were hoping for. And then, so going to the bottom of the third, it was still 2-0. Lau ties it with one swing. Brandon Lau was in a 2-for-18 stretch, so obviously he wasn't looking as good as he has in the past. And then it was, so to start the inning, it was Meadows, a one-out walk, and Wojciechowski threw three straight times to Meadows at first. Almost picked him off, but Meadows able to get back. So he was a little bit distracted, and then lays an easy pitch to hit to Brandon Lau, who hits a 2-run homer, 396 feet to right, that made it a 2-2 game, and I believe that was Lau's, I want to say 10th or 11th home run of the season. I want to make sure. That was his 10th home run of the year. So he's obviously still in probably that American League MVP discussion, although after that slump, he'll probably have to heat back up again if he wants to keep himself in that talk. But again, with one swing, it was at that point 2-2, so the top of the lineup finally produces for the Rays. And then the next three batters were retired, but it took 19 pitches to do so. It was actually Ji-Man Choi working a walk and a 10-pitch at-bat, and I think maybe a double play, or no, with only one out. Yeah, so that drove up Wojciechowski's pitch count. He was only able to go 4 innings, but a quick hook from the Baltimore manager. Top of the fourth, more weird baseball. The game was still somehow still tied. Mountcastle with one out hits an infield single. It was Yoshi at third base, kind of coming into it. Was hit really to Wendell at shortstop, but Yoshi kind of came over, made a running play to his left and couldn't make the play, and then Wendell misread it, of course, as well. So it trickles through for a one-out single, and then Valleca with 2 outs. It was a ground rule double. It saved a run. It was one of those weird plays when you kind of look at the ground rule double. It should have brought in a run, but because the nature, it was runners at second and third with 2 outs. So Richards could still keep it tied, and he gets Holiday to ground out to end the inning. So the Rays catch a lucky break there after what should have been an error, and end up not allowing a run. And obviously in a 1-run win, that could have been the difference. So the Rays obviously catch a lucky break there. And also after that play, it was Kevin Kiermaier having a little bit of an issue with his back. He would later leave the game with back spasms. And unknown if he'll be available tomorrow or is near future going forward. Bottom of the fourth, the Rays only bring 3 men to the plate. It was Kiermaier working a leadoff walk. Renfroe grounds into a double play, and Perez flies out. So no offense generated there. Top of the fifth, Trevor Richards gets in a mess, and Thompson puts out the fire. It was Mullins from a 1-2 count working a leadoff walk in an 8-pitch at bat, and that's kind of where Richards' pitch count began to kind of inflate. Alberto puts down a sac bunt to move Mullins over to second. So the situation, they're playing small ball in the top of the fifth in a tie game, getting a runner over to second with only 1 out. Santander walks to put it at first and second with only an out, and at that point they take out Trevor Richards, put Ryan Thompson in. Trevor Richards' line finishes at 4 1/3. He gives up no earned runs, 2 unearned on 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 86 pitches, 57 of which were for strikes. His ERA now sits at 4.71, and in the 21 batters he faced, he threw a first pitch strike to 14 of them. He was getting some really good swing and misses on his signature changeup, so that was ultimately, I think, good to see. And I think until Morton comes back, it'll be Richards either starting outright or being a bulk man behind an opener. So I think the Rays, now with Josh Fleming coming on strong, have a 5-man rotation, even with the loss of obviously Morton and Yanni Chirinos, who'll miss all of next season as well. with Tommy John surgery. So, again, the situation for Ryan Thompson, he comes in with runners on first and second and one out. And Thompson has actually been very effective coming in with runners on base. Coming into that appearance, he had a total of 5 inherited runners, and none of them have been allowed to come across to score. So, Thompson been a clutch reliever in that aspect. Mullins steals third immediately, and then it gets Nunez to strike out and Cisco to fly out. So, add that now. 7 inherited base runners for Ryan Thompson that have not been allowed to come across to score. So he's been a crucial part of this bullpen. He goes an inning and 2/3 in only 17 pitches. So that was a good sign. I think he's coming on strong as a right-handed reliever. So bottom of the 5th, another busy inning, and also another bases loaded with 1 out situation where the Rays only get a run. I think it was yesterday or the day before that. It was a similar situation. All they got was a Ji-Man Choi sac fly. And then I think it was either Kiermaier or Renfroe leaving the runners on. It was Margot hitting a leadoff double. Wojciechowski comes out at that point. He finishes 4 innings pitched, 3 earned runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. No decision for him tonight. And then Scott comes in. Meadows walks, so it's men at first and second, nobody out. And Lau gets hit by a pitch to make it bases loaded with no out. So you think in a tie game in the 5th, the Rays can really pull ahead. Yandy Diaz pinch hits for Joey Wendell. So Joey Wendell was playing shortstop. Diaz comes in, so you think kind of where that was going to go. Yandy came in to play third base, and then it was, I think, Adames coming in to play shortstop, if I'm not mistaken. So Yandy pinch hits a go-ahead fielder's choice. It was Brandon. It was kind of a weird situation. That hit by pitch to Lau looked like he kind of took exception to it. And during that fielder's choice from Yandy Diaz, Lau with kind of a hard slide into second base, so maybe taking his frustration out a little bit, and I think helped to break up a double play, and that brings home a run. Meadows as well able to move over to third base in the play, so with less than 2 outs, they have a runner 90 feet away, so the sacrifice is still in play. Ji-Man Choi is a flyout, can't bring Meadows home from third, but Yandy moves over to second. Meadows has not been good as a base runner, especially coming from third base in tagging up situations, something he needs to work on for sure. This is not the first game that he struggled in that aspect. But they get runners at second and third at that point with 2 outs and can really pour it on. Yoshi walks to reload the bases, and then it was Kevin Kiermaier at bat in a 1-1 count. He was injured after a swing, I believe. It ultimately ended up being back spasms, and weird to say from Kiermaier. He's now 30 years old, getting up there in age. Obviously, still mobile out there in center field. Probably the best defensive player in baseball, if not in all of baseball, but at least in the outfield. A platinum glove center fielder. But he's been dealing with back issues. Before every at-bat, he kind of does these weird back stretches, so I'm not sure if this is kind of an accumulated thing that he's acquired over the course of his career, and I haven't seen anything on as far as an update. I know he had an issue with the foot and played through it, so obviously he wants to play through anything that he can, but he comes out in the middle of an at-bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs and a 1-1 count, so Adames comes in, and that's where he came in to play shortstop, which he would have been in the game anyway, so it makes sense to pinch hit for him in that situation. And at that point, they respond by taking Scott out and put Castro in. But Adames is 4 for 6 with a home run in his career against Castro, which is a bit of a questionable move. But in a 2-2 count, Adames strikes out looking with the bases loaded, which was a little bit disappointing. So the Rays had to walk away with just 1 run in that bases loaded situation. So at the end of 5, it was 3-2 Rays. Top of the 6th, Thompson works a clean 6th inning. Was Adames moving over to shortstop, Yandy to third, Yoshi moves out to left field, and Margot moves over to center because obviously Kiermaier came out. Mountcastle hit a single, and then it was Ruiz grinding into a double play, and Valaika strikes out. So Thompson working a nice inning there, pitching late in the game with a lead. Bottom of the 6th, the Rays get Renfroe to second with 1 out. Can't knock him in. He reached I think on an infield single or a weird play, and then he steals a base during Margot's at-bat. So after Renfroe reached, it was Perez flying out, Margot comes out, and ultimately lined out, but in that at-bat, Renfroe steals second, and at that point, they make a pitching change, Castro out, Akin in, and Meadows, obviously the leadoff hitter, leaves a man in scoring position, which was unfortunate, and if I haven't given the number already, kind of more the same for the Rays. It was good that they won, but they went 1 for 10 and runners in scoring position, it was Wendell getting the only hit. They left a total of 9 men on base, so that was kind of disappointing. But obviously they do get the win. But in a close game like that, in a one-run game, those tend to make the difference. But thankfully they were able to walk away with a W. Top of the seventh, the defense fails Fairbanks a little bit. They take Thompson out, put Fairbanks in to face the 9-1-2 hitters. Thompson finishes with an inning and 2/3 of just one hit ball, no earned runs, obviously no walks either, so just one total base runner, 2 strikeouts, 17 pitches, so that was good, still relatively efficient, 13 of which were for strikes. And then Fairbanks again comes in, gets Holiday to strike out, Mullins to fly out, Alberto reaches on an E5, so that was Yandy Diaz at third base. His glove was actually further than the ball, so it wasn't like he couldn't reach it, he just totally misplayed it. And Alberto would end up moving over to second base on a wild pitch that Fairbanks, it was just a curveball bounced in the dirt. Santander with an RBI single ties the game 3-3, so an unearned run for Fairbanks, which is kind of unfortunate. You know, the defense kind of failing the team once again. Tie game, and then Nunez strikes out. And the thing about that, it was 11 pitches, I believe, after that Alberto at-bat. That should have been the third out of the inning. And so what could have been just an 11-pitch 1-2-3 inning for Fairbanks ends up becoming a 25-pitch inning. So not only does that keep you from bringing him in for a second inning, but it also probably rules you out of bringing him back tomorrow on a back-to-back because he throws 25 pitches. So that was not only does the defense fail the team from a standpoint of tying the game, but it also limits what you can do with Fairbanks in the near-term future. So not only does it affect today, but it also moves over to tomorrow. So that's kind of some bigger picture stuff. Bottom of the seventh, the Rays leave another runner in scoring position. Akeen comes out, Fry in, Lau strikes out, Yandy Diaz works a walk, Choi strikes out, Yoshi works another walk, so it's men at first and second with 2 outs. Fry comes out, Givens in, and then Adames and another lengthy at-bat, 9 pitches, ends up flying out. He had some solid contact, but ultimately couldn't bring the runner around, so they're going to have to settle with their 1-run lead. And then in the top of the 8th, a new Ray works a 1-2-3 frame. Fairbanks comes out again with the 25 pitches and the unearned run. Just 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. And Sheriff comes in to face the 5, 6, 7 hitters. Again, Sheriff coming in in a major league game for the first time since May of 2018. The former Cardinal underwent Tommy John surgery in June of 2018. Has really gone through it. There's an interesting article in the Tampa Bay Times that Mark Tompkin put out after the Rays called him up. Obviously, it made sense. With Beeks going on the 45-day IL, it looks like it's going to be Tommy John surgery for him, so very unfortunate that he'll probably miss all of next year as well. So it makes sense for them to bring up another left-handed reliever, as they do with Sheriff, a guy that they acquired after the 2018 season and pitched in the minor leagues just a little bit in 2019, and I believe dealt with some other injuries. And he had not pitched a lot in the major leagues to that point, but comes in to face the 5, 6, 7 hitters and gets them all out. Cisco pops out, Mountcastle pops out, and that was both to shortstop. And one thing I would say about, I believe those are both right-handed hitters, and he was a lefty pitcher jamming up righties. That was kind of a good sign to see. And then Ruiz grounds out. It was a really nice play. Yandy Diaz over to Choi. Both players made nice plays defensively to help Sheriff work the 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the 8th, and it was a tie game at that point in a 3-3 game. Michael Perez gives the Rays the lead. Renfroe strikes out, so it's 1 out, bases empty, and then Michael Perez, the catcher, hits his first home run of the year, a 428-foot home run to center that made it 4-3 Rays. So really hot off the bat, but obviously Tropicana Field not a hitter's park, barely cleared of the center field wall. A similar play he hit last night, and just couldn't get enough under it. In a lot of other parks, probably would have been a home run, but it was just a fly out. But this time, it was funny. Dave Wills on the call on 620 WDAE in the home run call, saying that Michael Perez, who's kind of a small frame catcher, had his extra biscuit this morning. So just a good moment all around, and helped the team in many aspects. Not only did it give the team the lead, but it also kept. Obviously, if that game had gone extra innings, they would have had to use other relievers, and that trickles in for tomorrow and the days moving forward. So in many ways, that clutch hit certainly helps. So then Margot and Meadows both struck out to end the inning. But again, the Rays, with 3 outs just left to get, now had a 1-run lead. It was 4-3. And then at the top of the ninth, it was Diego Castillo slamming the door shut. Sheriff comes out in his 1-2-3 inning. He ended up getting the win as well. It was a perfect frame. No hits, no walks, no strikeouts. 11 pitches, 10 of which were for strikes. So he was playing with conviction. Obviously, a guy that's had to overcome a lot of stuff. His first major league appearance in about 2 years. So really good stuff from him. Nice to see him get the win as well. It's always nice to see how that stuff ends up working out. So Castillo comes in to get the save. We had talked about that Castillo is kind of the new Nick Anderson until Anderson can come back healthy. It's Castillo is now your highest leverage reliever, and he looked really, really good, albeit only facing the 8-9 one-hitters, but slammed the door and quick. Gets Valleca to strike out, Williams pinch hits and grounds out, and Mullins struck out to end the inning. Again, a lot of conviction from Castillo. He looked great. A clean inning, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 12 pitches, 9 of which were for strikes. So really good stuff from him. And also, as Dave Wills talks about a lot, to be a late inning, high leverage reliever, not only do you have to get guys out in big spots, but you also have to do it quickly and not pitching a lot, just so you can be available and your team can use you more. So only pitching 12 times. He got the day off yesterday, so I would put him probably in availability for tomorrow's game. So Castillo picked up his first save of the year, and that did it, closing out a Rays 4-3 win. They again advanced to 21-11. They're now a season high watermark, 10 games above 500, and it stretched their lead in the American League East 2.5 games in front of the Yankees. And at about 11 o'clock, it's 10:57. We're going to take a short break. Not really any scores to give you, so we're just going to take a little commercial break. And when we come back, we will preview tomorrow's game. It's going to be Yarbrough v. John Means. During the break, if you want to call, I'll still take a call or two if anyone is interested. We have a line open for you. It is 877-566-1020. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans. William's currently in the can, but he'll be right back. We're currently on a commercial break, so don't touch that dial. Remember, you can call us at 352-639-0036 or drop us a line on Twitter at WHBCStream to tell us what's on your mind. We want to talk sports. We want to get unruly. We want you to tell us what you think so we can argue. Anyway, when all that's said and done, please stay tuned for Williams' world-famous Around the XFL podcast and other projects that he's currently got in the works. Please visit WHBCStream.com, and thanks again for listening in.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM. Sports Radio 66. Sports Radio
HBC. And at 10:59, we are back on the William Haynes Show. Final couple of minutes left on the program. Number to call. We'll still take another caller or two. We have a line open for you at 877-566-1020 at WHBC Stream is the Twitter. I'd recommend also you follow us on there. The link on the Twitter goes out whenever we go live. We'll be on, of course, tomorrow after the Rays game and previewing tomorrow's game. It is a 6:40 first pitch. And the final game in Tropicana Field in the year against the Orioles will be a 4-game set in Baltimore in mid-September for the final time that those teams will face. But a series finale, the Rays have already taken the series, but they'll be going for the sweep again at 6:40 tomorrow night. It is John Means, the lefty starter, going against the lefty Ryan Yarbrough. John Means at 0-2 with a 10.13 ERA in about 10 innings pitched, and Ryan Yarbrough also 0-2 with a 4.45 ERA in about 30 innings pitched. Look at John Means. Obviously, he's not really stretched out. His longest start of the year was on August the 4th. He went 4 2/3 against the Marlins, but threw only 72 pitches. And so I think he dealt with an injury because he had some time off after that start. On Sunday, the 16th of August, he went just 2/3 of an inning and 34 pitches, so 3 earned runs. So he got blown up against the Nats. And then his last time out on the 21st against the Red Sox, another losing decision for him. He goes only 3 innings pitched, gives up 3 earned runs on 4 hits, also 2 home runs through only 44 pitches. So I think they're still building him up, and it maybe the Rays can pounce on him early. And for the Rays, Ryan Yarbrough, again, as I said, he is 0-2 with a 4.45 ERA going for his first win. He's been really good for the Rays this year, but just caught some bad luck on the decision. His 2 of the longest starts for the Rays, both were 6 1/3 innings pitched, including his last time out against the Blue Jays on the 21st. In a losing decision for him, I believe it was, I think that's wrong, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs on 8 hits, 2 home runs as well, 2 walks, 6 struck and out in 97 pitches. So, of course, he's fully stretched out at this point, and hopefully can give him about 6 innings or so. They'll certainly need it to keep this bullpen moving in the right direction. So, with John Means, maybe there's 2 ways you can play this with John Means. You can either even out the righties and lefties because it's probably going to be some sort of a bullpen day for Baltimore, or you can push your chips in and go all righties, basically maybe 7 righties, 2 lefties, and just commit to taking Means out of the game early and putting the runs on him, like has been the case. Obviously, the 10-13 ERA, and he got blown up in his last 2 starts in under 50 pitches. So my guess, the way the Rays have played it so far against the lefty Means, they're probably going to stack the righties. The outfield from left to right, probably they're going to have to take Kiermaier out. So I would say Meadows in left, Margot in center, Renfroe in right, and in the infield from left to right, I would have Yandy, for probably Yandy Diaz at third. I would have Adames at shortstop, Brandon Lau at second base, and then maybe Mike Brasso at first, and have him probably lead off. Jose Martinez to DH, Mike Zunino to catch, and then again it'll be Ryan Yarbrough throwing to him. So that's how I would anticipate that working out. And then for the bullpen, the options that I would probably say from the left side, probably Sheriff could go on a back-to-back because he only threw, he threw 11 pitches, so he'll be ready to go. I'm not sure if he did any kind of bullpens or anything like that, but you would assume that probably he would be ready. And then Loop, who had a day off yesterday, I think after a back-to-back, he'll probably be ready. And then Bonda as well, who threw 2 innings, I think 2 or 3 days ago, so he should be good to go. So you got 3 options for lefties, and then for righties, John Curtis, who I thought maybe would pitch tonight, he'll definitely be ready. Aaron Slegers, who will be on full rest, even to make a start. He'll be on 4 days rest after throwing 4 innings and just under 60 pitches in that perfect 4 frames he pitched in Yankee Stadium. So they may have him go for an inning or maybe even 2 and give you some length. And I think Castillo, being as efficient as he was, could probably go on a back-to-back, although they probably are going to want to be careful with him because he's probably just about their only guy that they trust in a real high-leverage spot, until some of these guys like Alvarado, Anderson, and Drake can come back, and hopefully they will come back relatively soon, but the Rays are going to have to make do with what they have right now. So 6 guys, 3 from the left, 3 from the right again. Sheriff, Loop, and Bonda from the left, and from the right, Curtis, Slegers, and Castillo. Just a couple more notes about Ryan Sheriff I wanted to make as well. In his career now with tonight's win, he's 3-1 with probably at this point maybe a sub-4 ERA. It was 4.05 heading into this. His last appearance was on May 7th, 2018. He had Tommy John surgery in June of that year. He was a 28th round pick in 2011. He's now 30 years old. And also a cool note, he did pitch in the World Baseball Classic for Team Israel in 2017 and had a couple of holds. I think he faced a batter in one appearance and then maybe a couple in the other appearance. So that was cool to see. Again, an interesting article in the Tampa Bay Times from Mark Topkin. It's been a long road for him, including Adam Wainwright when he was with the Cardinals paying for his rental car because he didn't have a car and he was walking a mile from his condo to the spring training. So, obviously the minor leaguers that make about $800 every 2 weeks, they're not bringing in a lot of dough. It's, when you think Major League Baseball, you think a pro baseball player, they have a lot of money. These minor leaguers do not get paid very much. So it's been a long road for him. He's now 30 years old, but I think now can potentially replace Beeks as a late inning option from the left-handed side. So that's good to see for sure. And we are going to put a wrap on this program. We thank everyone who tuned in. Also, Sebastian who called in. If you're still listening, again, thank you so much for the call. It was appreciated, and I definitely agree you made some good points. We are going off now, but we will be back tomorrow after the Orioles game. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Rays win and a sweep over the Orioles. Again, it'll be Yarbrough v. John Means. They'll be stacking the righties probably. Hopefully, Ryan Yarbrough can go another 6 innings or so, maybe even start a 7th. We'll have to see as far as that goes. So the bullpen in relatively good shape as of now, so we want to keep it that way. I also believe the Lightning will be playing on a back-to-back tomorrow, so hopefully they'll be taking a 3-game Twins series lead, but we'll have to see all that. Again, we will talk to you tomorrow.
Sports Radio 101.9 FM and Sports Radio 66. The Fan.
HBC